What if you moved into a quiet little house and every night you heard footsteps coming from the floor above, but the house has no upstairs, not even an attic? Evan should have known something was off the day he signed the lease. It was too easy, too cheap. A charming old rental cottage on the edge of a small New Hampshire town surrounded by pine trees, with a red mailbox and stone path leading to the porch. It looked like something out of a vintage postcard. The landlord, an old woman named Mrs. Weller, barely said a word, just handed him the keys, smiled without showing teeth, and said, "You'll be fine. Just don't go looking for what isn't there." He'd laughed. She hadn't. Now 2 weeks later, he wasn't laughing. It had started the first night, around 2:30 a.m. Just as he was drifting off, he'd heard it slow, steady. Footsteps, walking above him. Evan had sat up in bed instantly. It sounded so real, creaking wood, like someone pacing in a small room. But this house didn't have a second floor, just one level. Kitchen, living room, bedroom, bathroom, no stairs, no attic. He'd checked again the next morning, and again the morning after that. Nothing. No access panel, no crawl space. The roof was low and flat, just insulation between ceiling and shingles. Still, every night the footsteps came, same time, same rhythm. At first he thought it was his imagination, or maybe rats, but the sound was too heavy for that. Footsteps, human, slow, thoughtful, pacing. He started sleeping with his light on, and then the drawings appeared. The third night, Evan found a piece of paper under his kitchen table, old and crumpled, a child's drawing stick figures holding hands in front of a square house. He lived alone. He didn't own crayons. He stared at it for a long time. There were 3 stick figures in the picture. One tall, 2 small. One of the small ones was scribbled out. Evan didn't tell anyone. He tried to rationalize. Maybe the wind blew in old papers. Maybe the house was creaky. Maybe he was stressed, lonely. He was trying to restart his life, new job, new state, new everything. He didn't need to believe in ghosts. But then he found the second drawing under his pillow. This one was darker. A bed, a person sleeping, and another figure drawn above with hollow eyes standing over the bed. He didn't sleep that night. He started asking around. At the gas station, the library, the tiny diner in town. "Hey, do you know anything about the cottage on Bellwood Lane?" People changed the subject. Some pretended not to hear. Only one person, the waitress at the diner, Cassie, finally looked him in the eye. "That house used to have a second floor," she said. Evan froze. "What?" She poured his coffee slowly. "They tore it down years ago. Fire. Took the whole top level. After the kid, you know." He didn't know. Cassie leaned in. "They say he still walks up there, even though there's nothing left to walk on." Evan felt his stomach twist. What happened to him? But she just shook her head. Some things are better left upstairs. That night, Evan stayed awake, staring at the ceiling. 29 a.m. Silence, 2:30 a.m. Creak, creak, creak. He turned on his voice recorder. For the next 6 minutes, it picked up footsteps above his bed. Measured, careful, then faint humming. A child's voice, almost like a lullaby. The next morning, Evan climbed onto the roof with a flashlight. Flat, solid, no signs of anyone or anything. But when he pressed his ear to the shingles, he heard humming and then scratching. He bolted back inside. He tried sleeping on the couch. Same result. He turned up music. Footsteps got louder. He screamed, "What do you want?" And the next morning he found a new drawing. This time it showed him drawn clearly, sitting at the table. And across the page, scrawled in uneven handwriting, "You took my room?" Evan stared at the drawing for almost an hour. "You took my room." It haunted him. He hadn't taken anything. This wasn't his fault. He didn't even know who the kid was. But deep inside, something twisted in his gut. A pressure, like guilt that didn't belong to him but somehow still did. He burned the drawing. But the next morning, another one appeared. This time it showed a stick figure falling through the floor, arms stretched, mouth open, and above, written in red crayon, "I'm still here." That day, Evan packed his bags. He didn't care about the lease. He didn't care if people thought he was crazy. As he dragged his suitcase to the front door, he heard it. A knock, but not from the door, from the ceiling. 3 slow knocks, then silence. He froze, and then a voice, faint, childlike, right above him. "Please don't go, I get so lonely." Evan collapsed to his knees. "Who are you?" he whispered. The ceiling creaked. "Will you stay?" His voice shook. I can't. I didn't know. I didn't mean to. You're the first one who listened." His heart broke a little, because in that moment, it didn't feel like a haunting. It felt like abandonment. A child who had been forgotten, alone in a space that technically didn't exist. That night, Evan did something he swore he wouldn't do. He pulled out his laptop, dug into old property records, newspaper archives. It took hours. But finally, he found it. July 14th, 1982, fire at Bellwood Lane. Upstairs bedroom, electrical fault. Parents escaped. The child didn't. Name, Micah Wells, age 7. Evan stared at the article. There was a blurry photo, a boy in a striped shirt, standing on the porch. The same porch Evan stood on every day. A chill ran down his spine. He whispered aloud, "Micah," and the lights flickered. He started talking to him. Every night at 2:30, when the footsteps came, Evan would sit up and say, "Hey, Micah." And for a moment, the steps would pause, then continue softer. He left out a toy one night, a little wooden car he found at a thrift shop. The next morning, it was on top of the fridge. He left a juice box, empty the next day. It didn't make sense. Nothing made sense. But somehow it felt peaceful, less threatening, less sad, until the neighbors started complaining. "Why were you hammering all night? Who was the kid laughing? Why was your upstairs light on?" Evan had no upstairs light. He showed them, but their faces stayed pale. One neighbor even said she saw a boy through the top window. There was no top window. There was no top floor. Evan knew now Micah wasn't just walking. He was trying to rebuild, trying to bring it back. The place he died in, the only home he'd ever known. Evan thought of leaving again, but now he wasn't sure he could. Not just because of fear, because of guilt. Micah was real. He was lonely. And he'd chosen Evan. The drawings became more frequent. Not threatening, just sad. 2 stick figures now, one big, one small. Always in the same room, always upstairs, even though there wasn't one. Then came the final drawing, left on Evan's pillow. It showed a house, fully rebuilt, with 2 floors. In the top window, Micah smiling. And next to him, Evan, smiling too. The message below. "You stayed, so now you can live here forever." Evan's heart stopped. Was this a thank you or a warning? That night, the house felt colder. He woke at 2:30 a.m. But this time, no footsteps, only silence. And then, slowly, the sound of a doorknob turning. He didn't have any doors upstairs, but he heard it. Creak. Then soft feet running across the ceiling, laughter, and then nothing. The next morning, he woke up in a room that didn't exist. Wooden floors, blue wallpaper, a toy chest, a small window. It was Micah's room. He blinked, rubbed his eyes, thought he was dreaming, but he couldn't wake up. He ran to the door, opened it, and found nothing beyond. Just a blank wall, no way down, no way out, just Micah's room forever. Weeks passed, or maybe hours, or maybe years. Time didn't work here. Evan sat by the toy chest, hugging his knees, whispering, "Please let me go." Micah sat across from him, legs crossed, smiling. "You said you'd stay. I didn't mean forever." Micah tilted his head. "This is all I have," Evan cried. Micah got up, placed the crayon drawing in his lap. 2 figures, side by side. "You're not alone now." Evan wiped his tears, and for the first time, smiled back. Because maybe, just maybe, Micah wasn't the only one who had no one left. Today, the house still stands. One level, abandoned, but locals swear they hear footsteps above. Laughter. 2 voices now. And some nights, if you're close enough, you'll see lights flicker in a window that doesn't exist. And if you knock at the door, you might just hear 2 knocks back from upstairs, even though there's nothing there. If this story gave you chills, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mr. NightGone for more horror heartbreak stories that stay with you even after the screen goes dark. And remember, not all ghosts want to scare you. Some just don't want to be alone.